and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and Game Week 5 was rough. Very, very rough. A lot of people probably thinking about wildcarding right now, and I cannot blame you after that disaster game week. In fact, let's run a competition in the comment section. Let's see who can find out who had the lowest score. Guys, leave your score in the comment section. Let's see if we can find some super, super low ones that maybe make the rest of us feel a little bit better. But with that said, we need to move on and see which players we want to have going forward from Game Week 6 and beyond. If you do enjoy this one, drop a like, do subscribe if you're new around here. Let's have a look at this wildcard team. So as always, this isn't just for wildcarders. This is also going to be a team for those of you guys who just want to move your team, move your players towards a certain direction and try and figure out what players you want to have going forward. Whether or not you can do that using transfers, or maybe you're going to have a wildcard to do that. That's kind of up to you. So let's go through this team. Starting off in goal, we have got Leno. So Leno made my Game Week 5 wildcard team. He has returned again for the new one in Game Week 6. And it started off with a nice clean sheet. So Leno actually coming through, one of the few players that actually scored some FPL points in Game Week 5. Yes, of course, we do have some really nice fixtures for Fulham, and with Palhinha in there, they are going to have slightly better kind of defensive prospects. Now, they're still going to concede chances, but with a goalkeeper like Leno, hopefully he's going to be making plenty of saves, and even when he doesn't keep the clean sheets, he's still going to come away from the games with a few save points there, which is, you know, it's not too bad. He's going to have something there. So, good fixtures coming up. We've got the likes of Crystal Palace, we've got the likes of Sheffield United in there. It's not too bad, so we like that from Leno, and still a little bit differential. Not too many people are on him yet, and I feel like this is a underrated goalkeeper. Very, very cheap, very, very nice. £1 fish, maybe slightly better than some of the other 4.5 options. Let's move on into defense. I have got actually Ruben Dias in here, and I know some people are going to agree with this one. Some people are not going to agree with this one, but I'm putting him in there anyway. I just feel like Man City have just been the best defense in the league. They've been so unlucky. They just concede like the odd 1 goal per game. They've still got 2 clean sheets so far this season in Game Weeks 1 and 2, which is really not too bad. I feel like going forward in these Nottingham Forest and Wolves games, that's going to be some really nice opportunities for some clean sheets from that team. And also, Ruben Dias, I watched him in that West Ham game, and he actually had a couple of opportunities to score. So, you know, he was a player, kind of a target man on those set pieces, which is really, really good. And I feel like he's probably the most nailed on of all the Man City defenders right there. So, fair enough, 5.5 million. Some people are not going to be too keen on him, but if I'm totally honest, guys, I'm struggling to find strong defences in the Premier League right now. Man City would be one of them, and therefore I've got Ruben Dias in this team. There is another fairly strong defence, and that is going to be Newcastle. Yes, finally getting a clean sheet, so that is a good start for them against Brentford, which is not exactly the easiest fixture either. The following fixtures are a little bit nicer. Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham and Crystal Palace. So we have got Fabian Schär here to try and get involved in those clean sheet points. Now, I have gone for Schär here instead of Trippier. Partially because of budget. I'm not fully convinced that Trippier is worth the 1.5 million extra ahead of Schär, particularly when you consider that Schär is a player who does very well in terms of, you know, taking a lot of shots on and stuff like that. He will score the odd goal. He's probably not going to score as much as Trippier. Don't get me wrong, Trippier will score more points, but you kind of have to look at it and think, is Trippier worth 1.5 million more? I'm not personally convinced he is, and I do feel like Schär is a nice short-term player for the next 4 game weeks. I'm going to show you very shortly a kind of a transfer plan which actually would include removing Schär after 4 game weeks and perhaps going in on a certain other defence, but I'll share that with you towards the end of the video. We have got Botman here as well, so a double up on the Newcastle defence. Botman, I think, is pretty much essential at this point. He is probably my #1 transfer target right now. 4.5 million for a Newcastle defender, a really, really strong defence with really, really good fixtures. There is no doubt about it. I will be trying to get Botman in my team this game week. So definitely someone I recommend to you guys. If you haven't got Botman already, it's time to bring him in. Super cheap, amazing. You know, this Newcastle defence was unlucky to concede as many goals as they have, even considering the fixtures that they've had. Now they've got great fixtures, it's going to be back to clean sheets. This is what we like. Let's move on into midfield, and Son still makes the cut. Yes, I know there's going to be a lot of disappointed new Son owners, but I have to say, the fixture didn't massively suit Son. And I did kind of mention this before. I did still think Son could get something out of that game, but it's not like a Son fixture. And I do feel like the Arsenal and Liverpool games may actually suit Son a little bit more. The minor kind of consideration is if Richarlison comes back and plays as the central striker in future game weeks. I know Spurs fans didn't really think that was going to happen, but Richarlison has now come in and he scored a goal. It makes you wonder a little bit. But if Son does play it as a striker, he's going to be able to counter-attack really nicely against the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, two teams with really high lines. And then we've got Luton and Fulham after that. So it's bad fixtures on paper, but I actually don't think they are horrible, horrible fixtures for Son. They're not great, don't get me wrong, but they could be a lot worse, actually, when you consider the kind of teams we want Son to face. Arsenal and Liverpool would be better than, Man City and Newcastle, for example. So I do think there is a little advantage there. So Son on the counter-attack, possibly on penalties as well. I don't think it's time to give up on him quite yet. Remember why we loved him so much last game week and try and take that energy moving forward. Marcus Rashford, I know, is going to be a player that is again going to be controversial in this team. But, to be honest, guys, after the game week 5, every player is going to be controversial. If we just picked a team full of players who scored well in game week 5, our team would be full of some really random and strange players. We'd have like Duran up front. We'd have a Dingra kind of playing in midfield. I think that's how you say his name, the Brighton winger. We'd have all kinds of random players in the team. We're not going to do that, really, are we? We've got to pick good players who we can comfortably predict will do well in the future. And Rashford, actually, I thought had a good game against Brighton. He looked very positive, and I like how he's kind of been playing off with Højlund. I think Højlund is going to improve Rashford as a player as well, and I love this fixture for him. Rashford kind of on the counter-attack against a high Burnley line. I really think this is a really good opportunity for him as well. So I would be sticking with Rashford personally. We've got Crystal Palace and Sheffield United in the upcoming game weeks as well. So not time to give up on Rashford yet, in my personal opinion. But I'm just waiting for you guys to disagree with me on that one. The fixture's amazing. It's just too good. Next up, we've got Saka against Spurs. We've seen Spurs already have been ridiculously attacking, leaving a lot of space in behind. And they don't seem to want to change that. I think they're going to take the game to Arsenal. And I think Arsenal are going to be able to counter-attack against them or just do the business and attack. This could be a high-scoring game. It really, really could. So I am happy to go with a player like Saka ahead of this Spurs fixture. We've got some okay fixtures after that as well, so that is definitely something to be aware of. I don't think Saka is a player we have to have long term, but I still feel like he's been so consistent, so reliable. Another assist today against Everton was very, very helpful indeed. So not time to give up on Saka. Yeah, he stays in the team. And we have got Maddison here as well. Still think he's a really, really good FPL asset, particularly if you're wildcarding now. You're probably going to want to have Maddison in your team ready for the Luton and Fulham fixtures. If you're not on a wild card, you could probably afford now to wait on the likes of Son and Maddison, wait a couple of game weeks before bringing them in. But if you're on a wild card, it's not like you can wild card again in a couple of weeks and then use that wild card to get in your Sons and your Maddisons. It's just not possible. So yeah, Maddison is in the team on those set pieces, really handy, creative, taking shots on from outside the box. He took loads of shots against Sheffield United. I can't believe he didn't get any attacking returns in that game, but that's another conversation. And Mbeumo is going to finish off this team. He's got really nice fixtures now. After that Newcastle game, the fixtures turned really good for Brentford again, so definitely would be looking to invest in their assets, obviously on penalties as well. He's been a super reliable guy this season as well. Everton, Forest and Burnley in the next 4, and even that Manchester United fixture, it's not too bad really, is it? So actually I am going to say Mbeumo is a player who I would very much like to have in a wildcard team and in a non-wildcard team as well. Up front, Erling Haaland, no surprise here. How did he not score more points against West Ham? I think he had something like 2.7 XG in that game. He could have had a mega haul. He could have easily scored 3 or 4 goals in that game. You would not be surprised if he did that at all. He had like 5 big chances, 6 big chances. It was insane how well he played in that game, but just couldn't finish for some reason. It was just one of those days for him, and yet he still came away with FPL points. That's how good he is. So he makes every single wildcard or non-wildcard team I can ever possibly conceive of. Do not go without Erling Haaland. But we can finish off this strike force with Julian Alvarez. And I don't think there's going to be many arguments with this one. I did say last week that Julian Alvarez was probably the best forward to go for in your FPL teams if you just just want to go for the safe and sensible forward, going forward, Julian Alvarez is your guy. Now, there may be a little bit of reduction of minutes going forward with Champions League, but I feel like right now he's pretty much become undroppable, playing super well on set pieces, and we've got good fixtures for him as well. So Julian Alvarez, still think he's a good pick. Going forward, I would still be sticking with this guy. Really nice price at 6.8 million as well. He's only going to get more expensive from here on until, of course, maybe we do see a bit of rotation at some point. But I hope that his points that he gets outside of the rotation is going to more than make up for when he does get rotated. So still think amazing pick. Julian Alvarez got to be in that wildcard team. Let's bring up the bench, guys. We've got Areola on here, probably the best second goalkeeper you could have. 4.1 million, not bad. Dogi is going to be in here. He rotates really nicely, actually, with Ruben Dias. So Ruben Dias, when he plays Arsenal and Brighton in game week, I believe it's 8 and 9, that is the time where Udogie plays Luton and then Fulham. So really nice rotation between those two players. Definitely something I would consider. We've got Archer, best 4.5 million forward. And I've got Bell here as well. Probably the most nailed on Luton defender. You could maybe think about playing him during the Luton double game week. So something there for you as well. We've got a little bit of double game week joy in this wildcard team, I suppose. We're going to put the captain's armband on Erling Haaland. Of course we are. And I'm going to put the vice captain on Marcus Rashford. And I know you guys are going to say that's stupid, but I just want you guys to remember that Marcus Rashford has 3 returns in his last 3 games. Usually, well, that's enough to say buy a player, not just keep a player, and I just love this fixture for him. I think he's been playing reasonably well, like the fixture. He's got 3 returns in his last 3. I would not really count game week 5 too much in your thought processes. It was a freak game week. We don't see those very often, but we do see them sometimes. I still think he is worth the vice captain there. But there's a few changes that you could possibly make to this team. I want to share that with you, as well as potential transfer plans for a team like this, including a certain Mr. Mo Salah, who I'm sure you guys maybe think is missing from this team. There is a way of getting him in, but it's not going to be for everyone. Okay, so we are, of course, on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get access to this. You can actually get full access right now to Fantasy Football Hub absolutely for free. Free trial right now. Get full access to all of their tools, which are absolutely amazing. This is the My Team tool, as we know. Just so we can go through some different options and just do it on the fly a little bit and show you future game weeks and stuff like that. Really, really handy for going through this kind of stuff. So, first of all, looking at this team, I have thrown in Estupinian, because you can go for Estupinian instead of Share if you want to now. But what I actually slightly prefer is actually waiting a few game weeks and wait for 4 game weeks up till, I believe, game week 10, where suddenly Estupinian's fixtures get really good from here on. So let's have a look here. So Estupinian's fixtures from game week 10, Fulham, Everton and Sheffield United. So at that point, game week 10, there's a really nice switch there from Fabian Schär to Estupinian that works actually very, very nicely in that game week. It actually brings our team rating to 97% when we think about a plan there. So yeah, that is definitely a possibility that you might want to go for. Also, you play Areola in game week 10 as well, because Leno plays against Brighton away. Areola plays Everton at home, which is quite a nice fixture for West Ham there. So yeah, Estupinian coming in game week 10 for Fabian Schär. It means that you don't have to have that double up on the Newcastle defence long term, if that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I do still like it for the short term, at least. Going back to what I was about to say, which was Salah. We mentioned Salah. It is possible to get Salah into this team, but you are going to have to make certain sacrifices. And it seems to be the way, if you want to get Salah in your team, it basically means you can't have more than one 8.59 million midfielder in your team. So you are probably going to have to remove Son, and you're probably going to have to remove Rashford and bring in a nice cheap guy. Ward-Prowse would probably be the one you guys would suggest there. It does actually leave us slightly over budget, but hey, I'm sure a lot of you guys have more than 100 million anyway, so maybe you can afford to do that still. So yeah, that would actually give you Ward-Prowse and Salah in there. And judging on this game week scores, a lot of people will say, well, Ward-Prowse and Salah are better picks than Rashford and Son. Yeah, based on game week 5, absolutely. Yeah, that certainly seemed to be the case. Ward-Prowse and Salah outscoring those two guys. But for me personally, I'm not yet 100% convinced I would be willing to sacrifice the likes of Rashford and Son. Not yet, at least. I want to get the next 4 game weeks out the way first, and at that point, I would probably be looking to bring in Salah at that point, which is one of the reasons why, for me, a Game Week 10 wildcard works slightly better for me, because I'd be looking to bring in some Liverpool players, I'll be bringing in Aston Villa players and Brighton players as well, and losing some of those Spurs players and those Chelsea players, and of course, those Manchester United players potentially as well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking personally. For now, I prefer the combination of Rashford and Son to a Salah and a Ward-Prowse. But some of you guys are going to disagree with that, and that's absolutely fine. We're all going to have our slightly different opinions on who the best picks are. So this is kind of an alternative of what you can potentially do if you wanted to go about your team this way and make sure you include Salah in it. So yeah, that's what we're going for. And yeah, like I said, if you want to check out this tool and get a free trial, which you can do right now, 7-day free trial, link in the description to check it out. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you did enjoy, please do drop a like. It would really, really help my mood after this game week. Likes make me happy, and FPL sometimes doesn't make me happy. I'm sure a lot of you guys relate to that one. It's been a tough game week, it really has. Subscribe if you're new around here. We are going to be doing a tier list video tomorrow on Monday, as well as a stream after Game Week 5 concludes. That stream is going to be interesting. That's one way of saying it. It's going to be an interesting one. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.